And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here to the Elite Racing Network for tonight's RevLimit Workshop Development Series presented by Pit Pass Network exhibition race here at the Charlotte Legends Oval. Yes, that's right, the Legends Oval. My name's Robert Hill Jr. Joining me in the booth tonight is Alayton Norgard and Jesse Rasimas. Guys, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good.
Doing good. How about you?
Doing quite well here, my friends, as we get set here for our first of, I think, 3 heat races here tonight. We're going to take the top 4 from each heat race and bring them directly into our big feature here tonight. As we get set to roll off, each of these heats will be 10 laps in distance. Ethan Stanley on the pole for heat race number 1. Dave Carpenter is outside. Austin and Abnett and Tyler Fody make up row number 2. Josh Smith, Zach Evans in row 3. Mitch Shavir and David Huckleberry going to round out the field in this one. So half the field will move on. Half the field will go to the Consi. And yes, you guys might be wondering, this is the development series. Why do we see the likes of Ethan Stanley and Tyler Fody? Well, folks, being the exhibition race, this is open to everybody. And guys, as we currently are gridding here, of course, this is the Legends Oval. Again, we'll bring it up on the screen. It's a quarter mile in length. Track temperature very hot, 131 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's going to be toasty, it's going to be slippery, tempers are going to fly, but it's going to be one heck of a good show here tonight.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the show that these guys can put on. I do feel a little bad for the rest of these guys in Heat 1 with both Ethan Stanley and Tyler Fody.
Yeah, it's tough. That's going to be a tough heat for sure, Jesse. What do you think?
I think quite a bit of them are actually going to be pretty tough. I'm just looking at the lineups now, and there's a wide gap of kind of skill level between these heats, so we'll see what happens here.
And again, going to be 10 laps in distance for each and every heat race. These guys are not used to such a tight, flat racetrack like we have here at the Charlotte Legends Oval. Lights are going to be off on the iRacing.com pace car this time. You'll see it go down pit road with these guys, which of course does carry the double duty of being the back straightaway for this Legends Oval. And then he'll set off back towards what is usually the pit entrance here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway and set the field free. Dave Carpenter and Ethan Stanley going to be on the front row as they work their way through turn number 4, headed for the front straightaway. And we are green flag racing here at the Legends Oval as the field's going to head through turn number 1. Already contact as you're going to see Josh Smith go around. No caution flags, by the way, in these heat races. Some contact there between Dave Huckleberry and Mitch Shavir at the rear. There's Dave Carpenter battling with Zach Evans. That's for the final transfer spot. So we'll keep a close eye on this one as Mitch Shavir just misses the rear end of Dave Carpenter. Out front, though, Ethan Stanley leads Tyler Fody and Austin and Abnett. So a Lake Norman 1, 2, 3 as they work their way to lap number 8.
It almost looked like Ethan got a bit of a late jump on that start there at the green, but he didn't pay anything for it. Still hold on to the lead without a problem.
Definitely doing a nice job holding on to the lead here for Ethan Stanley. You're going to see the bumper definitely come into play later on in the Consi and again in the main as Dave Huckleberry has an issue at the rear. He gathers it back up. One thing to note is, yes, these guys might not necessarily be up towards the front here as next time by will be at the halfway point. The way that they finish in these heat races from 5th on backwards will kind of set the order for the Consi later on, which is going to be crucial. You want those good starting spots to be able to work your way up and hopefully get yourself into a transfers. Ethan Stanley still leads. He's got Tyler Fody really closing the gap up on him here As we take a look from the rear end of the Ethan Stanley machine, there's Tyler Fody as they come to just 4 laps to go. It's Stanley, Fody, and Abnett and Carpenter currently in those transfer spots. Zach Evans, Mitch Avere, Dave Huckleberry, and Josh Smith on the outside looking in. And Smith may end up getting lapped here as we come to 3 laps to go.
Yeah, I was keeping an eye on that last transfer spot, and Carpenter just got a nose in on turn 1 on Zach Evans a couple laps ago and managed to finish the pass. He's currently in for the transfer.
Popsicle sticks in the air, 2 laps to go for Ethan Stanley. Tyler Fody right behind him. We'll see if the bumper comes into play as they work their way to the white flag this time. 1 lap to go, 4 corners remain on the quarter-mile track that is the Charlotte Legends Oval. Ethan Stanley heads down the back straightaway for the final time. Tyler Fody gonna try to get there. Don't know if he'll be able to do it as he takes a dive in. Not gonna be able to clear him as checkered flag. Ethan Stanley picks up heat race number 1. Tyler Fody second. Austin and Abnett third, and Dave Carpenter rounds out the transfers. Zach Evans, Mitch Avere, David Huckleberry, and Josh Smith gonna head to the consi as that'll do it for heat race number 1.
Yeah, kind of as expected, a pretty tight race between Ethan Stanley and Tyler Fody, but had a pretty good one between Carpenter and Zach Evans too, so it's a good heat. Let's see the next one.
Absolutely. As we take a look at the starting grid for this one, why don't you walk us through it here, Alayton Norgard?
On the pole, we've got William White with Caleb Pecumir there on the outside. Second row, Jordan Owens and Frank Fody. And then on the third row, there's Andrew Hardcastle and Harrison Talon. And then Gavin Higgins and Tyler Dixon rounding out the heat.
So 8 cars for this one, a little bit smaller than heat race number 1. Actually the same because, of course, Race Control did not start heat race number 1. As I thought William White might have blown his engine there. I saw a bit of extra smoke, but just rubbing the tires on takeoff. As once again, 10 laps is the distance for this one. William White, Caleb Pecumir going to be row number 1. A couple guys to watch in this one. Jordan Owens, a very quick driver in all elite series. And I'm going to say someone coming from the rear as well. Gavin Higgins. He picked up a victory last season in what was the Pit Pass Network ARCA series. Now going to be looking to maybe try to work his way in from the tail of the field alongside Tyler Dixon. And of course, you cannot count out the pole sitter William White or upcoming driver here in Elite, Caleb Pecumir. Well, you know what? You can't count out anybody, honestly, in this race. Everyone's really outstanding drivers. Harrison Talon's here as well. As pace cars off, we're coming to the green flag this time. Green flags out. We're underway here, Alayton, as William White gets out to the race lead. Looks like Harrison Talon going to go a bit sideways there. Frank Fody trying to work his way through. He's side by side with Andrew Hardcastle.
Hardcastle around.
Hardcastle does go around. That is correct. Is going to be most likely a visit to the consi for him, guys.
Yeah, he had sent it pretty hard into turn 3 just before that and locked up his right front. And Higgins just got a better run through the corner because of that and didn't quite check up enough.
Hey, Robert, I don't know if you noticed. Did you notice who the sponsor is on that 20 car?
Let's take a look at the 20 car. I'm just going to guess that it's Neighbor Pete. It's Neighbor Pete, a sponsor for Gavin Higgins, and it's Neighbor Pete, everyone's favorite neighbor. Move over, Fred Rogers. Mr. Rogers, you're out of the neighborhood. It's Neighbor Pete's time.
Yeah, it looks like William White's kind of running away with this one right now. So I think the closest race at the moment is going to be between Higgins and Frank Fody.
And that's for the final transfer spot as well. Frank Fody currently holding on to it. Trying to get all the Lake Norman cars into the A-main directly here tonight. Of course, we saw an Abnett, Fody, and Stanley lock in earlier on in heat race number 1. Frank Fodi trying to do the same here in heat race number 2. But Caleb Pecumer just up the road. That's another Lake Norman entry as Gavin Higgins closed the gap once again up to Frank Fodi. Coming to 3 to go, by the way, for the Pride of England. He's the King's favorite. It's William White coming to 3 laps to go this time in the 43 machine. Looking pretty sporty up there. Jordan Owens ahead of Caleb Pecumer. He's having himself a good run here in that number 16 machine. Oh, the bumper! Wow!
Why? Oh no! And while we were going through that, Gavin Higgins actually managed to make a pass around Frank Fodi. Got a little bit loose going into turn 3, and he just kind of undercut him there and got himself to the transfer. And then the other issue happened.
There's the bumper again. Gavin Higgins gets moved. He's going to move up the racetrack. Jordan Owens goes back to third. Here comes Frank Fodi. He dives it in deep. Owens around. Oh, man. So Frank Fodi going to move Jordan Owens. Puts himself in a transfer. William White picks up heat race number 2, by the way, over Caleb Pecumer as the battle comes to line this time. Gavin Higgins third, Frank Fodi in fourth, Harrison Talon fifth, Tyler Dixon, Andrew Hardcastle, and Jordan Owens took it to pit road. He's not too happy. Going to come home in the 8th position.
At the end there.
But William White victorious in heat race number 2. Heat 3 coming up here, guys, and it's one of the newcomers here in the Elite Racing League on the pole. Jesse, why don't you walk us through the starting grid for this one, my friend?
It looks like everyone's talking here. So it looks like we got Pocock on the pole, Corey Abbott second, Vince Isabella third, Jaden Rasimas fourth, Vandermal fifth, Dusty Dewar sixth, Chris Albrecht in 7th, and Brett Baldeck in 8th.
There is your lineup for heat race number 3. Well, so the screen really wants you to know what the series name is called here. All right. There we go. That cleared finally. As the lights are off in the pace car, Cale Pocock on the pole, and Corey Abbott going to beat his outside. Like Jesse said, Jaden Rasimas going to roll off in row number 2 with Vincent Isabella. And then we got a couple of our cup regulars in Vandermarl and Dewar in row 3. Albrecht and Baldeck bringing up the rear of the field. As we're coming to the green flag this time, taking away Alayton.
Looks like a pretty even jump between Corey and Cole there, or Cale. But with Cale having the inside, he's gonna solidly take the lead, and Vincent's challenging Corey now too. I think Corey is gonna hopefully be able to slot in for third. Vincent's challenging for the lead into turn 1.
Yeah, Vincent Isabella with a good jump there. As things get stacked, Corey Abbott goes around with help from Justin Vandermarl. So the Canadian driver with a bit of violence there on the Harley man himself, Corey Abbott. Going to send Abbott all the way to the rear of the field. Albrecht with some issues as well. I believe connection issues for him as Vincent Isabella, the short track kid, going to go out to the race lead by just a little bit. Now 1 car length over Cale Pocock. Jaden Rasimas up to third now. Justin Vandermarl in that final transfer spot. But Dusty Dewar hanging in the wings here. He saw how Vandermarl got the spot. Do you think maybe some violence might come into play on him? Oh, Isabella goes around. Isabella, I believe he had some help up front. We'll take a look at the Revilers Photography replay machine. Jaden Rasimas nearly into the back of Cale Pocock there. And oh, no, Vince just loses it. So Isabella goes around from the race lead. That hands it over to Cale Pocock with 5 laps to go. Pocock leads. Rasimas, Vandermarl, Dewar. That's your top 4. They're currently all transferring into the A main. Albrecht, Baldeck, Abbott, Isabella on the outside looking in. Coming to 3 laps to go this upcoming time by.
Yeah, with these cars, they run in third gear all the way around, and if you get a little too happy with the throttle on exit, it's very easy to send it around, as Vincent found out right there.
Yeah, so actually, it looks like some of these guys are actually running third gear through the corners, upshifting in the fourth on the straight, and then back down the third. So I think he might have actually caught another gear on the downshift that he wasn't anticipating there.
That's a good observation there, Jesse, and I think you might be right, as we just took popsicle sticks that time. Oh no, Jaden Rasimas goes around. Went from a very, very good run now to the outside of the A main, looking in as Chris Albrecht gonna take that fourth spot. Jaden Rasimas side by side with Corey Abbott. Up front though, Cale Pocock down the back straightaway for the final time through turns number 3 and 4. Off of 4 this time. Checkered flag. It's Cale Pocock picking up heat race number 3 over Justin Vandermeer, Dusty Dewar, and Chris Albrecht. That means Jaden Rasimas, Brett Baldeck, Vincent Isabella, and Corey Abbott gonna go to the Consi, as that'll do it for our third heat race, and I believe that's the final heat race of the night as well.
Yeah, we definitely got some surprises going back to the consolation race here. Jordan Owens, Corey Abbott, both are not where they expected to be at this point, but we'll see what they can make happen in this final chance.
Well, it looks like we're going to go to a little warm-up here, let the drivers stretch their legs just a little bit. So we're going to step aside, take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll set the final stages for tonight's starting grid.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Since 2010, race fans have had one burning question. When will the Xfinity Series return to Worldwide Technology Raceway? You asked, NASCAR delivered. On Saturday, September 6, 2025, the magic is back. The track that launched the legendary careers of Harvick, Busch, Keselowski, Edwards, and Earnhardt Jr. is now ready to write that next chapter. We're going to introduce you to a new crop of future champions and Hall of Famers. And in the process, we'll create more of the greatest moments in racing history. NASCAR Weekend 2025, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Playoffs, the Confluence Music Festival, and now 250 miles of the NASCAR Xfinity Series. 2 incredible races, 1 challenging track, a 3-day party of epic proportions. Go to www.raceway.com and lock in your weekend racing and camping packages for as little as $20 down.
And we're back here at the Charlotte Legends Oval. Just a little development here. All cars that attempted to make tonight's race will start the feature Some sort of iRacing glitch has made it that way, so that's the way it's going to be. As we're going to go ahead and talk to Corey Abbott here. Hey, Corey, it's everyone up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
So looking back on the heat race earlier on, that 80 car Vandermeer kind of dumped your stuff. What do you got to say about that?
He's got it coming.
Other than that, what are your thoughts on the night so far and the racetrack here at the Charlotte Legends Oval?
I mean, racing-wise, it's not too bad. Once you get going, it's pretty fun. And besides the contact with Justin and my pedals misbehaving, it's not too bad. That's all I'm hoping for, really, is my pedals not to pull any shenanigans. No misinputs that make me do donuts. No donuts, please.
Well, not sure if you saw it, Corey, but you're going to be rolling off 21st in car number 21. So best of luck to you.
Thank you.
That was the pork chop himself, Corey Abbott. As we go ahead and roll through your starting grid here tonight, rolling off on the pole is Ethan Stanley and is outside William White. Starting third, Cale Pocock, and is outside is going to be the 40 of Tyler Fody. The 59 of Caleb Pecumer and Justin Vandermeer in the 80 make up row number 3. Row 4, Austin and Abnett in the 60. Gavin Higgins and the neighbor Pete Mobile going to roll off 8th. Dusty Dorr and Dave Carpenter make up row number 5. Alayton, why don't you take us through to position number 20?
In 11th, we got Frank Fody and Chris Albrecht on his outside there. Next row, waiting for the screen to update. We got Zach Evans in 13th, Pearson Talon in 14th, and then next row we got Jaden Rasimas and Mitch Habir, followed by Tyler Dixon and Brett Baldeck, and then in 19th, David Huckleberry and Andrew Hardcastle in 20th.
Jesse, take us through, buddy.
21st, Josh Smith in 22nd, Jordan Owens 23rd, Vince Isabella 24th, and me, because I joined wrong, lighting up last.
Well, this was not what I anticipated entering this race. That's a lot of race cars on this racetrack, guys. It's gonna be hectic out there, to say the least. As the pace cars heading off, we're getting set to go green this time. Fred, the pace car driver, takes it pit side. Ethan Stanley gonna clutch that wheel. Get set to go green this time as he and William White go side by side, and the green flag's out. We're underway here at the Charlotte Legends Oval. Feature racing time.
Yeah, Cale was sleeping a bit on the start there. Gave Fody a free pass into the inside lane, which he was taking advantage of to, looks like he's going to take second away from William White.
Bit of a major miss there on the start for Harrison Talon, but all looks okay so far as Ethan Stanley out to the lead. Issues for Dusty Dewar, as it was just a brief visit to the grassy area of the racetrack. Everyone else looks to be A-okay, as we got some side-by-side battling between the aforementioned Dusty Dewar and his teammate Dave Carpenter. The Duca drivers up inside the top 10 here, as Stanley still leads us here on lap number 4.
I'm seeing a lot more side-by-side racing than I expected to. There was Dewar and Carpenter, and then a little bit further back were a couple other cars, and they were holding the outside a lot better than I expected to. Cale also was able to do that in his heat, and I was pretty impressed by that back then.
Just taking a look through the field, Harrison Talon's fallen all the way to the rear of the field. Brett Baldeck having some issues as well, but does gather it up, is able to continue on as Stanley, Fody, White, Pocock, and Vandermeer, your top 5. Jesse, you might have one of the best seats in the house up there from race control. What have you seen so far with the racing in this feature?
The racing in this feature is actually surprisingly going well compared to some of the heat races. Not seeing a lot of contact. Everyone's kind of giving each other as much room as they can. As I just watched Tyler Dix's bumper fall off and came back on, but Huck looks like he got a little bit loose there. But I mean, overall, the racing is much better than it was started out in the heats earlier.
Yeah, 10 laps in, just about here. Stanley's going to be coming to lap number 10 this time as well. There's an issue on the racetrack. Josh Smith going to go around. He'll tow it back to pit lane. Brett Baldeck was also involved, as was Harrison Talon. And everyone else seems to be A-okay at this point. Ethan Stanley working into some lap traffic now as he works his way down the front stretch. That's Brett Baldeck just ahead of him. Of course, Brett, a media personality out of the Charlotte area. Last I knew, he was working for Fox. Don't know if he's still there, but Brett Baldeck, one of those cool personalities. Glad to have him here in the Elite Racing League as Tyler Fody and company go by him as well. I want to give a shout out to somebody that's done a nice job holding their own so far in this race, Dave Huckleberry, as he makes a pass on Mitch Avir up into the 16th position. Keeping it smart, keeping it clean, doing a nice job here. That is our executive producer, of course, here at the Elite Racing Network, Dave Huckleberry. As Tyler Dixon has an issue, he goes for a spin into the infield. He's going to tow it back. Looks like he's going to call it a night as well.
Yeah,
Man, Harrison goes around ahead of your leader. Wow, go ahead, Alayton. Sorry.
I think the big difference we're seeing here from the heats is that with 50 laps, people feel like they don't have to make a move now. Although with how quickly these laps are going by, we're going to be getting to that point pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I mean, you see it here. Ethan Stanley working his way up to the 20th position now as Andrew Hardcastle about to go a lap down. Mitch Avira there as well. Corey Abbott, Vincent Isabella, Jordan Owens, David Huckleberry. Some very quick cars here. Oh, as Huck gets sideways. Good catch there by Dave Huckleberry. He will lose a lap, though, to the race leaders, but does a nice job kind of keeping it out of their way. Does make contact with William White, but nonetheless, good job by the lap cars letting the leaders on through without much issue. The one thing I'll say about this racetrack is they have no good camera angles around this place. So a lot of chopper coming into the mix here tonight as you see Tyler Fody side by side with Mitchell Havir. Havir, one of those Lake Norman guys, he's going to fall back. Nearly makes contact with the boss man Tyler Fody as William White holds on to that third spot. Biggest mover so far in the race is kind of a double dose here of Jordan Owens and Vincent Isabella. Both those guys up 8 spots on the day. Started back in the mid-20s as William White has an issue here on the front stretch, and the caution flag going to be displayed in a peculiar position. So that brings out yellow flag number 1. Looks like multiple cars going to come into this incident as well. Justin Vandermarl looks like he's going to have a moment. That's contact with Caleb Pecumer. No, they're okay. Dave Huckleberry, though. Yeah, there we go. So there was a bit of a track blocker over there in turns number 1 and 2. More contact with Dusty Dewar. So a good call there by race control Jesse Rasimas. But one thing I've noticed, guys, Ethan Stanley's on pit road. And only Ethan Stanley is on pit road. Nobody else has come down.
Yeah, so there was a couple of small incidents there. You had that track blocker in a corner, and then you had another track blocker on the front stretch. So kind of had no choice but to throw a yellow on that one.
Yeah, the choice to pit by Stanley is a very interesting. I wouldn't think the tires would wear that quickly, and I don't know if you can even pit quickly enough to finish a tire change before you go lap down.
I believe he is a lap down.
We can take a look. He's still on the lead lap, guys. So Ethan Stanley pulls into his box. Right sides go up. Right sides go down and off. No, he's not on the lead lap. He's going to pull himself around the pace car, but unless he crossed that line just before the pace car, that could be the only reason that's showing him on the lead lap. But yeah, Ethan Stanley only taking 2 tires and gonna have to come at least from the 16th position.
That's definitely going to make for a lot of action coming through the midfield.
No doubt. As lights are off on the pace car, the field gonna double up rather quickly. Not much time to do it, but they've done it nonetheless. I don't know about the call for Stanley, man. I think it's gonna be too tough to get up there, but we'll see what happens here as we are at the halfway point. 25 down, 25 to go. Green flag's out. We're back underway, and it's Tyler Fody out to the race lead. He's got Pocock and P. Cucumber right behind him as they battle side by side down the backstretch. Issues for Zach Evans as he's facing the wrong direction off of turn number 2. Gathers it back up, does continue on, as now issues for Jaden Rasimas as well, as he is stopped in turn 3. Gathers it up, continues on. Man, that was a hectic restart lap. Don't look now. I hear some knocking, and it might be neighbor Pete trying to work his way onto the podium.
I think these drivers are starting to feel the time crunch with the laps running out, and they're starting to take more chances than they were early in this A-main.
22 laps to go. It's Fody, Pecumer, Pocock, Higgins, Vandermarl, the top 5. Then it's Carpenter, Frank Fody, Dustin Dewar, Austin and Abnett, and Chris Albrecht, your top 10. William White right there as well. Should a caution come out here in the closing laps of this one, the battle for the Lucky Dog spot is between Vincent Isabella and David Huckleberry, back in 17th and 18th respectively. And by the way, Ethan Stanley up to the 14th spot. Oh, as we got an incident. All the cars gonna get off the racetrack though, so that should keep us clean, keep us green. Issues again. Albrecht gonna be involved. Oh, Huckleberry over in turn number 4. Albrecht there, multiple cars involved in that one. Mitch Javier as well, briefly 5 wide. Oh my gosh.
That doesn't work on this track, guys.
Oh man, this isn't gonna go well. Oh my gosh, guys. That was wild right there. Gavin Higgins locks it up real bad, working his way into turn number 1. It might work for Ethan Stanley. He's back in the top 10, up to the 9th spot.
Yeah, there's been a lot of cars shuffling around with all these spins. Like 5 laps ago, it was Chris Albrecht and William White, 10th and 11th, and now, just a few laps later, Chris is a lap down and Will's in P6 right behind him. There's a lot of stuff going on right now.
Jaden Rasimas going a lap down now to race leader Tyler Fody. Second place is currently held by Caleb Pecumer, but Gavin Higgins closing that gap rather quickly as we're very rapidly approaching the 10 to go mark. Justin Vandermarl right there as well. And keep in mind, if Corey Abbott gets up to Justin Vandermarl, there was a promise of a little bit of mutiny between those guys. So we'll see if payback happens between Abbott and Vandermarl should they come together. Ethan Stanley into the back of Dave Carpenter. Carpenter gathers it up. Stanley gonna fall, or actually move his way up now to the 7th position by Corey Abbott. So these guys starting to get a little bit more aggressive here.
are really running out of laps now. People are going to be making borderline desperate moves at this point, trying to make up those last few positions.
One thing we're going to do here is when we come to the 10 to go mark, we're going to do a lap on board with the number 20 of Gavin Higgins as he battles for that second spot with Caleb Pecumer. So we're going to jump on board now. You can kind of see the tight quarters these guys are dealing with. Look at all the counter steering that Gavin's doing. He is sending it around this racetrack.
Yeah, so the few laps of practice that I did run here, quarter entry was very, very light on the rear end. Kind of the same thing when you were picking up the throttle on a transition going to the front stretch. But yeah, so the counter steering is kind of expected on a small flat track like this, but that transition to the front stretches is really goofing up a lot of things as well.
7 to go this time for Tyler Fody as Ethan Stanley now back into the top 5. William White right behind him as they're working their way around the circuit. Once again, some tight battling going on between these guys as they close in on the lap car of Frank Fody just up the road as Tyler Fody closes in on Harrison Talon. That's the one car of Talon just ahead of your race leader in Fody as they work their way now through turns number 3 and 4. Talon holds on to the 21st position, gets into the outside wall. Looks like he's going to get passed by Tyler Dixon there, as with just 5 laps to go in this one. Looks like Fody well on his way to scoring the victory once again, but you never know, as Caleb Pecumer and Gavin Higgins both closing that gap. Issues for Cale Pocock there back in position number 7 as Corey Abbott battles with Jordan Owens just behind them in 8th and 9th. Issues for Dusty Dewar as he cuts across the grass. 3 to go now here at the Charlotte Legends Oval.
I'm keeping an eye on this fight for second between Caleb Pecumer and Gavin Higgins. Gavin's just been searching for an opening there, but has not been able to find one yet. Got close there, but he's definitely smelling it. Wants it bad, I can tell.
Coming to the white flag this time. It's going to be 1 lap to go for the Lake Norman Motorsports number 40 of Tyler Fody as he heads his way through turns number 1 and 2. Down the back straightaway for the final time. Going to be working his way towards turns number 3 and 4 as he heads off of 4 for the final time. Checkered flag. It's Tyler Fody picking up the exhibition race here at Charlotte. Caleb Pecumer 2nd, Gavin Higgins 3rd, Justin Vandermeer 4th, Ethan Stanley back to the 5th spot, William White 6th, Jordan Owens in 7th, Cale Pocock 8th, Dave Carpenter 9th, and Corey Abbott going to round out your top 10. As Justin Vandermeer comes and gives a love tap to Fody there. Might have been a bit more than a love tap, but nonetheless, Tyler Fody gonna burn it down here on the front straightaway. The RevLimit Workshop Development Series presented by Pit Pass Network is underway here with a solid exhibition run here at the Charlotte Legends Oval. Fody burning it down. We'll be right back.
Of sellout crowds, 3 years of edge of your seat action, 3 years of jaw-dropping finishes. Worldwide Technology Raceway has rocked the world of NASCAR, and now NASCAR is giving us another reason to celebrate. The 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Championship playoffs are coming. Sunday, September 7th, 2025. Just when you thought the racing couldn't get any more intense, now every single lap matters. One wrong move could be the difference between elimination and being crowned the king. The Enjoy Illinois 300, the Confluence Music Festival, the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs, and for the first time in 15 years, the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday, September 6th. Don't be on the outside looking in. See history being made in your own backyard. Go to www.raceway.com for the hottest ticket of the year.
And we're back here at the Charlotte Legends Oval. Just wrapped up our exhibition race here tonight as we get set for our podium interviews. Kicking it off on behalf of neighbor Pete, none other than our third place finisher, Gavin Higgins, standing by with Jesse Rasimas.
Gavin, is Jesse up here in the booth? You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Hey, so why don't you walk me through that race there? Kind of hectic trying to work up through the field, but managed to get a podium finish there.
Yeah, it was definitely better than I expected. I thought it was just be caution after caution. I thought it was probably not going to be that fun, but it was definitely way better than I expected. It was a good battle there with me and Caleb. I was trying to get to the inside of him, but I couldn't get enough gas without it just snapping loose coming off the corner.
And how it's overall, what do you think the handleability of a small flat track like this is in those ARCA cars?
Definitely very loose, but qualifying it didn't shift, so that's why I had such a bad qualifying lap. But yeah, it was honestly pretty fun.
All right. Is there anybody you want to thank for today?
Yeah, thanks for you guys for putting this on, Chad, and you guys up in the booth. My parents are watching, mom, dad, brother, sister, and grandparents. I had neighbor Pete on the car today.
Yeah, we pointed that out.
We love neighbor Pete.
That until a few laps into the heat race, but we did point that out on the broadcast today.
Yeah, I have it on my truck and Xfinity car. I mean, it just doesn't show. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to work with you on that, but I appreciate you coming up and joining us here in the booth, and a great finish there for your open exhibition race.
All right, thanks.
That was Gavin Higgins, your third place finisher here tonight. I'm now joined by none other than your second place finisher, Caleb Pecumer. Caleb, you brought it home second tonight. Walk us through your race here at the Charlotte Legends Oval.
Yeah, what's going on, Robert?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. The race was a lot of fun. I didn't expect to place where I placed, and I'm not used to seeing Fody's bumper in front of me, so that was pretty cool. And I think a main thing that got me there was avoiding that first wreck and also just tire management. It seems like a lot of guys struggle maybe with some tire management in this series. So at these short tracks, I like to take advantage of that. But everything was, my car was super clean, and we had a fast car tonight. So it was a lot of fun.
Now I got to ask you, if you got a little bit closer, were you prepared to use the bumper on the boss man and move him out of the way?
I mean, that option is always there. He's not immune for sure, Robert.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I hope that does come into play at some point, Caleb. But before we let you go here tonight, any sponsors you want to thank, shout outs you want to give here on that number 59 machine?
Oh yeah, I mean, big shout out to JD Designs. I've been running the scheme all last season, and it looks awesome out there. And shout out to Tyler and Frank, Austin, Mitch, all the Lake Norman guys that were here tonight. Big shout out to Bite Size Sports for the sponsor, and big shout out to you guys up in the booth. You guys do an awesome job.
Well, we appreciate that, Caleb. Congratulations on a solid run here tonight, and we'll see you next week for the doubleheader of the Charlotte Oval and Roval to kick off the season.
Sir. Yeah. Thank you, Robert. Have a good night, guys.
That's Caleb Pecumer, and now standing by for his first Victory Lane interview, is Alayton Norgard with a guy that's had many victory lane interviews, Tyler Fody.
All right, I'm here with the winner of the RevLimit Development Series exhibition race, Tyler Fody. Tyler, what was this race like for you?
Hey, what's up, Norgard? Yeah, that was fun. That was surprisingly a lot cooler and cleaner than I thought it would be for the most part for what it is. Yeah, had a lot of fun there.
Yeah, we usually don't see these quarter-mile tracks. Are you looking forward to maybe trying to sell Chad on putting one of these in the schedule for one of the higher series?
No, definitely not. Because Chad would make us probably run 40 cars here. But I do think the heat idea was a really good one. I know we were supposed to have a little less cars in the feature. But even still, with 20-something cars that we had, it wasn't too bad. But if you got like 15 cars for a track like this, I think it could put on a pretty good show. Yeah, it was fun.
So we saw a call from Stanley during that yellow there to pit for tires. Do you think that you had something for him if he didn't do that? Because I think that race was going to come down to the two of you with the way that it was shaping up.
Yeah, I definitely do think I would have. I kind of reserved myself a little in the heat from taking a shot at him. And I was looking forward to putting the bumper to him and running hard on each other in the feature, but then he went and did the old pit stop. So I don't know. We seemed pretty equal, so it was going to come down to who hit the other one probably. But he last second called it out that he was going to take two, and I think he got an end of the line, like had to start behind the lap cars, and still got back to fifth. So if he hadn't had to go behind all the lappers, I'm sure he probably would have been up there, and it would have got pretty exciting. But yeah, I think we would have raced it out had that not happened. But yeah, fun nonetheless.
All right. Any shout outs or sponsors you want to thank?
Yeah, well, I want to shout out Robert for even coming up with this series and getting Chad to go through with it. It's definitely one of the better things that's happened in the league. I'm a super big fan of just watching it, and it's really cool to see guys that maybe run for top 10s now run for wins and so on. I think it's a really cool thing. Obviously, I've got a bunch of new people with our team that have been coming up, and it kind of gives them a space to learn and also have moments where they're racing for wins and top fives where you wouldn't really get that in the higher series. So just big shout out to Robert Hill and all the guys that are behind the scenes that put this series on in particular. I'm looking forward to watching it and seeing how everyone does this coming season.
All right. Well, thanks, Tyler, and congrats on another win. Yet another one.
Appreciate it.
That was your race winner, Tyler Fody, with Alayton Norgard. And guys, first off, before we get to our final thoughts, I do want to give a shout out to RevLimit Workshop, the new title sponsor of this series. RevLimit Workshop is your go-to for pulsating designs at unbeatable prices. Need a logo or promo? Get yours for just $5. Want a full racing scheme that stands out for $15? You can definitely do so. Contact them on X to get your premium custom scheme today. Guys, final thoughts after what was actually a pretty decent exhibition race here at the Charlotte Legends Oval.
Yeah, I am surprised at how well that went, especially in the feature there. Some good racing put on for broadcast here, and sounds like it was a lot of fun for these guys.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I was a little worried after the heat just to watch the amount of contact in the corners, but come feature time, the guys really cleaned it up. So really proud of everybody for running a nice clean race there. We only had maybe one major incident, and everything else was pretty clean and green.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. Was honestly a pretty good race, surprising with how well it actually did turn out for such a tight racetrack. But nonetheless, that's going to do it for the exhibition race here tonight. Of course, come back next Tuesday night as we officially kick off the season with a doubleheader at the Charlotte Oval and Roval. That's going to be quite the night for these guys. But on behalf of Jesse Rasimas, Alayton Norgard, Chad Frankenfield, Dave Huckleberry, and everyone here at the Elite Racing Network, my name is Robert Hill Jr. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.